Hello, and welcome to the second week of the course. Today we will go through different scenarios of elder abuse and cover risk and protective factors of violence. We will end today's session by discussing the consequences of different types of abuse for older people. As I mentioned in the previous lecture, the concept of violence against older persons typically applies to victims aged 50 and older. There are three different types of abusive relationships that might happen with an older person depending on who the perpetrator is. The first type is when an older woman is abused by her spouse or intimate partner. This can be long-term intimate partner violence where the abuse starts rather early in a person's life and continues into old age. Or it could begin later in life when the relationship escalates into violence as both of the partners retire. It can also happen when a victim enters into a new abusive relationship later in her life. A second type of elder abuse occurs when an adult child or other family members become physically, sexually, or emotionally abusive. Financial exploitation is also believed to be a common form of abuse in these situations. The third type of elder abuse occurs when it is done by a caregiver. These are usually cases of neglect, often involving burnt-out care workers. Although the consequences of violence are profound, only a small proportion of older victims seek help. This might be due to, for example, feelings of powerlessness, shame, or guilt. In cases where the abuser is an adult child of the victim, some older persons may feel they must help and protect them, even if they are abusive. Perpetrators will often manipulate the victim, especially if the older person has cognitive or physical disabilities. Victims tend to believe perpetrators and view themselves as powerless persons who are incapable of being independent. Abusers usually find a benefit from maintaining this relationship, such as money or a place to stay. It can also be a case of quote-unquote payback violence, when an abusive parent becomes physically or psychologically dependent on their spouse or adult child. However, those kinds of power and control dynamics in abusive relationships are not always present. For instance, sometimes the older victim is harmed by a well-intended caregiver who happens to provide inadequate or inappropriate care. That is why professionals must recognize the dynamics of different cases of elder abuse and provide appropriate help to the victim. Violence and neglect affect older people emotionally and physically. Both older women and men may feel shocked, embarrassed, guilty, or ashamed that someone they trust is hurting or taking advantage of them. However, since violence against older persons has traditionally been considered gender neutral, it does not pay attention to the special circumstances and challenges of female victims of abuse. In particular, older women are more likely to live longer than their spouses, live in poverty, be dependent on social welfare, and suffer from chronic health problems, disabilities, and other limitations in their daily activities. These factors marginalize older women in society, increase their risk of being abused, and make it difficult for them to seek help. Older women have often been excluded from studies of violence against women and have been mainly absent from discussions on shelters and hotlines. Therefore, the circumstances and individual needs of older women as victims of abuse have been overlooked. When it comes to the understanding of experiences of older victims of violence, ageism is a relevant term as well. It is defined as a process of systematic stereotyping of and discrimination against people because they are old. Older people are often categorized as senile, rigid in thought and manner, old-fashioned in morality and skills. Ageism denies the autonomy and dignity of older people and as a result can be a factor that enables violence against older persons. Negative attitudes towards older people are widely present within the health and social care settings where older persons are most vulnerable. Ageism has been demonstrated to cause cardiovascular stress, lowered levels of self-efficacy, and decreased productivity. What is more, older people's perspectives on aging can have harmful effects on their health. Research suggests that older people who have negative attitudes about aging may live on average 7.5 years less than those with positive attitudes. Older women experience not only ageism, but also sexism, and a combination of age and gender discrimination that puts older women at higher risk of violence and abuse. Furthermore, inequality and discrimination experienced by women intensifies with age. As a result, older women become a unique group which is at higher risk for violence. Understanding risk factors for violence against older people and their timely identification is the basis for effective prevention of abuse. Risk factors are conditions or characteristics that increase the likelihood of an older person becoming a victim of violence. They exist at three levels: the individual, relationship, and socio-cultural levels. At the individual level, it concerns the older persons themselves. The relationship level covers interactions between the victim and the perpetrator, and the socio-cultural level refers to the environment in which the older person lives. On the individual level, the main risk factors for an older person includes poor physical health, functional dependence, disability, especially when assistance with daily activities is required, cognitive impairment, psychiatric illness, psychological and behavioral problems, past experiences of abuse and related trauma, and/or low income. At the relationship level, risk factors include a situation of shared living, especially between an older child and their parent, high levels of financial and emotional dependence of a vulnerable older person on their carer or vice versa, family disharmony, poor or conflictual relationships between family members. On the social cultural level, there are risk factors such as a lack of social support or social services for older people that are limited or unavailable, a lack of service provision standards in healthcare, welfare services, and care facilities, health and social care staff that are poorly trained and overworked, social isolation of older persons, high levels of tolerance and acceptance of aggressive behavior, or certain societal views and values, for example, the belief that people who experience suffering should remain silent, or ageism and negative attitudes towards older people. A combination of certain factors at the individual and social levels were also found to be associated with a higher risk of becoming a perpetrator of violence against an older person. While these might not be direct causes of violent behavior, they can still increase the likelihood of it occurring. A better understanding of these factors can contribute to the identification of violence prevention measures. The Department of Economic and Social Affairs of the United Nations Secretariat has collected data on risk factors of perpetration of abuse against older women and defined the following factors: substance abuse, such as alcohol or drug addiction, a history of violence, such as witnessing or experiencing violence as a child or having perpetrated domestic violence in the past, having a criminal background, psychological problems such as depression, mental impairment, like dementia, which is a degenerative process of the brain that causes aggressive behavior, financial dependence on the victim, or long-standing power and control dynamics, such as male dominance in the family. There are also protective factors that are believed to be a helpful precondition to deal with the abusive situation more effectively. They are defined as conditions or characteristics such as skills, coping strategies, resources, and external support that reduce people's vulnerability. Currently, there is a lack of research and understanding of factors that can protect older persons from violence or promote their recovery after having experienced it. However, according to research, two factors can protect from violence. The first one is social support. There is strong evidence that higher levels of social support and strong social networks can lower the risk of elder abuse. The second factor is defined as multifaceted responses to violence. Since violence is a multifaceted problem that has numerous roots, such as biological, psychological, or social issues, it should be confronted on several different levels. Therefore, appropriate measures are needed at all levels to prevent or stop violence against older people, such as individual risk factors should be addressed, and steps should be taken to change behaviors associated with risks. Families should receive professional help and support to improve relationships between their members and create healthy family environments. Public spaces, such as schools, workplaces, and neighborhoods, should be monitored, and measures should be taken to prevent the occurrence of problems that may lead to violence. Gender inequality, harmful cultural practices, as well as other social and economic factors that create the conditions for violence, such as the gap between the rich and the poor, unequal access to goods and services, and other issues should be addressed. Such an approach to violence prevention is holistic as it addresses multiple elements of a complex social problem. It suggests that the issue of violence against older people cannot be solved by working only with individuals. Families and communities also have an essential role to play in preventing and ending violence, and society as a whole should be involved in this effort via education and awareness-raising campaigns. Possible physical and psychosocial consequences of violence are numerous and varied. In the last part of today's video, we are going to focus on them. Few studies have extensively examined the long-term consequences of violence for older victims and distinguished between them and processes related to healthy aging. However, those studies that have been done have researched how violence affects older people and suggest that the consequences of violence fall into two categories. The first are cognitive and emotional effects, such as cognitive impairment or increased risk to develop a memory disorder, depression, anxiety, insomnia, and post-traumatic stress disorder, or also known as PTSD, suicidal thoughts or attempts, psychological problems, feelings of helplessness, and/or substance abuse. The second type of consequences of abuse affects physical health of the victim, such as increased risk for developing chronic diseases, injuries, cuts, bruises, and broken bones that can lead to long-term bone or joint problems, lung problems, digestive and weight problems, pelvic problems, chronic pain and soreness, high blood pressure, heart problems, more frequent use of healthcare services. As a result of these physical consequences, risk of death in older women who have experienced intimate partner violence is 3 times higher than it is for non-victims. The impact of violence on the psychological well-being of older persons may be more devastating than on their physical health, and it takes them a long time to recover. The concept of trauma was introduced to define the experience that most of the victims of violence can relate to. Individual trauma results from an event, series of events, or set of circumstances that are experienced by an individual as physically or emotionally harmful or life-threatening. It has lasting adverse effects on the individual's functioning and mental, physical, social, emotional, or spiritual well-being. Currently, there is a lack of research and understanding of factors that can make some individuals more vulnerable to the damaging impact of trauma. It appears that both aspects of the traumatic event, such as the context in which the event takes place and individual characteristics, influence the person's risk for developing psychological problems after the traumatic event. In some cases, violence against older persons can lead to PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a medical term for long-term symptoms caused by a stressful event or series of events. The initial emotional shock, fear, anxiety, sadness, and anger usually subsides over months, but PTSD can last for decades. Emotions from traumatic experiences can always reappear in the victim's mind, and a person can be stuck with flashbacks of the stressful events. Over time, PTSD symptoms can turn into a chronic disorder with psychiatric consequences. Although reactions to traumatic experiences do not automatically result in mental disorders, many abused women suffer from severe PTSD symptoms. General PTSD symptoms in older people include insomnia, nightmares, difficulties in falling asleep or frequent awakenings, avoidance-based coping strategies such as alcohol or drug abuse, psychotic symptoms that are associated with PTSD, and/or changes in personality. Research shows that older women may be at a higher risk for developing PTSD than older men as a result of domestic, sexual, and physical abuse. However, older women are usually underdiagnosed and are more often typically perceived as suffering from depression, anxiety, or poor physical health rather than PTSD. PTSD may manifest itself differently and more intensely in older people due to their poor health, chronic pain, and cognitive impairment, their retirement, reduced income, loss of loved ones, and/or lack of social support. These factors also make it more difficult for older people to cope with the memories of earlier trauma. Overall, the interplay between complex and cumulative trauma and PTSD may become more complicated with age. However, adaptation and resilience, which is considered flexibility and ability to recover quickly from traumatic experiences, can develop over time and become a source for coping mechanisms. That's it for today's lecture. Thank you for watching. Next week, we will look more closely at how the abuse of older persons can be identified. We will also discuss the ways that older victims respond to abuse, talk about special treatment for victims with dementia, and introduce screening tools and specific questions that can be used to identify elder abuse. Please don't forget to do your weekly assignments before you move on to the next section of the course. Good luck and see you soon.